I think one of the biggest open secrets to getting more done in less time is figuring out when you work really well, what kind of place you work really well, almost what's the character of time that you work really well in, and then ruthlessly protecting that time. So for example, for me, the morning hours are just the time where I am really creative and really productive and really focused. On my best afternoon, I will never be as good as that hour in the morning. So what I do, I really try to do, is I just protect those hours. After I get my kids up, fed, and off to school, I use the hours of 8 to about 1 to say, this is the time that I'm going to produce, which means if somebody asks me to meet, I tell them I'm available after 1. If somebody needs to call, I tell them we can schedule in the afternoon. If somebody needs to collaborate on a project or review something with me, I say, can we schedule that after 1? I just, to the extent that I can, responsibly can, ruthlessly protect that morning time, which means that every day I can look at a couple morning hours to get really, really good work done. And then around early afternoon, I can say, okay, now what do other people need from me? How would other people pull me? But that creates a rhythm of productivity, a rhythm of really good work. And I think knowing when and in what circumstances you work really well and then protecting that time is just a key. As a corporate lawyer, I feel like most of my life are these situations where I'm asked to do more than I can do in less time than I actually have. So this is a really normal instance for me in work, but I actually think that one of the most significant times for me where I was asked to do a lot in a short amount of time and God really showed up was when I was writing my book while being a lawyer. And so the way that happened was working at a big international law firm, and I've got to put my 8, 10 or more hours a day in there. But I also told my publisher, maybe irresponsibly, that I would get them a manuscript within 3 months. And so I started this routine of I'd wake up in the dark, it was wintertime, 5:30, and just try to get as much writing as I could done before my kids woke up around 7. And it was going great for the first couple days and weeks. I felt I was going to get it done. I just had a lot of energy, productivity, and then it cratered. I started to get tired. I started to, more than just physically and mentally get tired, start to be full of self-doubt and feel like I shouldn't have done this, I can't do this, I'm not enough to do this. And I tell this story because I think the hardest thing about getting big tasks done in a short amount of time is not usually the mental part or the physical part of pushing, it's usually the feelings that creep in that say you're inadequate. When we're asked to do something really hard, the feelings start to come in that we're not enough, we're inadequate. And that's a spiritual battle. And for me, I remember during this time that I almost got to the end of my rope. I woke up one morning just feeling like I couldn't do it. And instead of going to my writing desk, I went over to my living room and I started to pray and confess to the Lord that I don't think I can do what I promised that I was going to do. I don't think I can do what is asked of me. I can't write another sentence. I can't do this. And all of a sudden, this is one of those watershed moments that you never forget. Very few in my lifetime like this, but I felt suddenly and strongly the presence of God. So strongly that I sensed that He was walking up behind me and I almost felt a hand on my shoulder. And then I heard, take another step, write another sentence, I'm with you. And that was a game changer for me. After I finished weeping, I started writing again. And the reason that this story is really important to me is because it was one of those times where I've been asked to do more than I could do, and I had to do it in a short time. And the only way that it worked was finding the presence and the peace of God in the task, which flipped me from being a person of worrying, can I get this done? Who am I if I can't get this done? What's going to happen to me if I can't show up here? It flipped me from that just to saying, God has invited me to work on this. God has invited me to be here. He's with me, so I'll write one more sentence. So I'll take one more step. And when I got the confidence of His presence and His faithfulness in that hard time, the burden was lifted and I could just work well and work freely. Instead of working for approval, I was finally working just to be with Him, and that changed everything.